Very pleasant good morning. It's 10:07 at WPSL 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast. And, well, I'll tell you, Mike King and Charles Moskowitz doesn't get any better than these two guys. Mike King has promised to bring a Las Vegas showgirl to the Christmas in July baseball game on Saturday night. And Charles Moskowitz is going to bring some of the beer from the Boston Red Sox clubhouse. Doesn't get any better than that.
Lobster rolls.
Lobster rolls? Man, you are on. Maine lobster?
Oh. The only kind we get here.
Oh, man.
Not like those poor, stupid little Florida lobsters.
Oh, I know. The little langostinas. Yes, I know. Yeah, you're right. Oh, you have that.
Protect themselves. You
have that over us. I mean, you really do. Yeah.
How do they protect themselves, Greg?
I have no clue. And actually, they are sweeping up the eastern United States as well. And they are called lionfish, coming soon to the Boston area. And these things are like the ultimate predator. I guess they have no... Sharks are afraid of these things. They're so deadly. You know, it's like, oh, my goodness. But anyway, so how you been, Charles? Is Michael with us?
Sandy.
Absolutely.
Oh, there he is.
On the news last night, they were showing pictures of the first great white shark off the Cape.
Yeah.
And when I say off the Cape, I mean 40 yards.
Yeah.
Not so off the Cape.
I know. You know, it's they had one. I think locally, one of the Miami stations. Had a shot of a great white off Pompano Beach, which is south of us, just north of the Miami area, and it looked like a submarine. It was so big.
Yeah. It
was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, there are sharks, and then there's the great whites. They're absolutely amazing. Well, guys, a couple things happened in the market in the week that we were off. And that is, it just seems to be going up a little bit, you know? This is crazy.
Eighth straight day for the S&P.
Yeah.
And I think the 14th day yesterday for NASDAQ.
But what's going to happen to oil prices, man? Gas prices at the pump here in Florida are going through the roof.
Oh, here... We were hanging down at like 337.
Okay.
And then one day it went to 347.
Yeah.
This is last week.
Yep.
One day it went to 347.
Yep.
Then it went to 53. Now it's 59.
Yeah.
Literally in the last 4 days.
You're almost pennies wise the same as ours. Yeah. It's amazing. Mike, what about you? What are the gas prices like in Nevada?
It's similar here.
Similar. Wow.
Both mentioned, yes, 350 to 370, but I'm expecting that 108 will hold. 108.
You think it's going?
We got to 107.20 this morning.
Yeah.
Backed off. We're around 106.5 right now.
Right.
But the challenge, really, the fear is to the upside, not the downside.
Mm-hmm.
Any little disruption will cause this to really move. Any little disruption. So
what and
that's the challenge.
Well,
like if it gets foggy in the Houston Ship Channel.
Yeah. Well, and the ultimate challenge is for us consumers because the prices are already up 0.5%. I mean, it's like everything goes up if gas prices go up. Yeah. Well, I mean,
percent today.
Yeah, well, we're just talking this week.
I mean, we're talking about 340 to 360 essentially.
Right.
20 cents on 340. That's a whole lot more than 0.5%.
Well, I'm just talking about all the consumer goods, though. I mean, it's just.
What's kind of interesting about the oil is that I think there are two separate issues here.
Mm-hmm.
As far as trading goes, the most important issue is not to get in front of a momentum play. I mean, this has built up a certain amount of momentum, and until the momentum disappears, it's going to either continue up or hold. And I'd love to see it hold that 108 and turn back down, but you never can tell. You may get a little blow off. The other thing is, now that the pipeline, which we used to say was to Cushing, is now the pipeline away from Cushing, and we're exporting finished product. And so that structurally is a change in our market. And so I think that, that's also why the spread between West Texas Intermediate and Brent crude has narrowed. And when I say narrowed, it's narrowed dramatically. 106.60 to 109.19.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, $2 and change for a spread that 6 months ago was $14.
I was going to say it was anywhere between 10 and
$20.
15. Yeah, you're right.
And so, we're seeing prices that are more along the lines of the world prices as opposed to ours.
Ugh. Yeah.
So.
Oh boy. Okay. Well,
We shall see.
Speaking of oil, that's cars. GM reporting some really, really good news. Global sales are up 6% in the first half of the year. That's not too shabby.
Yeah. So, Greg, is it true that you're the guy who bought that 1954 Mercedes race car the other day for $29.6 million?
I would love to. I'm a Porsche guy. And I am really crying the blues today. Did you see the report where Jaguar, which used to be one of the absolute worst piles of junk in the world, expensive junk, I might add, has overtaken Porsche in worldwide sales?
Yeah, and I've been seeing the
Wow.
ad for the new one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a beautiful
the F
car.
series,
Yeah.
I think, which is kind of like the old XKE series.
Yeah. I remember those.
I mean, the car is beautiful. And,
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I'll tell you, it must be 25 years ago. I have a brother who's in the automobile repair business. And I called them up and I said, this guy has a 64 XKE and he's, it's convertible and it's really nice.
Ooh.
I'm thinking of buying it. And he said, well, does it have a hitch on the front of it?
Yeah, that's right.
And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, you have to have a hitch on the front of it, and you need to have a mechanic on call. I mean, 20 or 25 years ago, before Ford took them over,
Right.
they had incredible problems.
Yeah.
Electrical problems, engine problems. I mean, they've really, say what you want about, Ford, but the fact of the matter is they came in and straightened the company out before they resold it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's just so funny that you mentioned that. Back in it may have been around 77, 78, one of our anchors at KCST in San Diego, we were joking with her because she said that she was getting an XKE. And so we were joking in the newsroom, well, you better marry the mechanic. And she said,
yeah, right.
I am. And she literally married her mechanic. And she needed it, too, because the car was continually breaking down. But I thought that's amazing. But, yeah, and actually we have an auto show on the weekend that's produced in California, and they did a review on the new Jaguar, and they just said, just throw everything out the window of everything you used to know about Jaguar. He said, this car is absolutely amazing. So, but it is interesting. European car sales, by the way, guys, as of this morning, down 6.6%, which I think is really, really interesting. That the American cars are getting better. I don't care what anybody says. They're getting better quality out of U.S. cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's going on in your world, Michael?
Well, we have Hecla Mining coming on as our guest at hour. Phil Baker is the president. They're the largest miner in America.
Yes.
And, commodity prices have been weak, but this is a real opportunity for us just to find out what's happening.
Yeah, and we get them on maybe once or twice a year, And, yeah, he's very, very informative, grew up in the mining business. Oh, yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Now, you know, the Fed chairman wants to get inflation moving again, a little whiff of inflation. He's trying to get it moving. The CPI this morning, the Consumer Price Index, was better. I mean, it was higher. It's up, in the CPI without the core figured in, was up 0.5%. With the core, it was up 0.2%, which had been the mean average going back several years, but it had dropped as low as flat on the core.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you don't drive a car or eat, then you go with the X gas and food portion of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is truly amazing, but.
You know, Mike and I have been having this ongoing discussion about inflation in food, and he doesn't see some of the stuff, and I think I see it all the time. But a subscriber sent me an email last Sunday night after I mentioned it, and his email said, it's not that the prices are going up; it's the packaging. They don't package by the pound. They package by, some derivative of it. And all of a sudden there's pricing instead of by pounds on individual, for example, tomatoes or some of the fruits where they no longer sell it as weight. They sell it as an item. And so, it seems to be hidden, but it doesn't really matter how hidden it is. It's still, costing more money, and it's just not showing up in the numbers.
Well, and you see it like in the soft drinks, too. I can get a Coke or a Pepsi for 99 cents now. Well, then you look at it closely, and it's basically, I think,
2 ounces shorter than it was last.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, okay, this is
what
what
the
they're
other
doing.
thing. Capitalism has something to do with this. The desire to make a profit. Look at a chart of Kroger, KR.
Oh yeah,
largest packager of foods, and you can see that it's in a very steady uptrend. It consolidated between 32 and 34, and now is back up to almost 38.
Whole Foods, the same thing. They split Whole Foods 2 for 1. I mean, the stock didn't go from 100 back down to, in the 40s or 50s, and it made a new all-time high yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so, they're doing well, but the question is at whose cost.
And yes, of course. I mean, but a lot of profits are going to be made by Kroger. Of course, they have already. This has been one of my favorites.
Now, Michael, didn't they just buy a big East Coast grocery chain like last week or late? Yeah, it was after we were on Tuesday, but it was like Wednesday or Thursday of last week. It was a huge East Coast chain that because Kroger's a Midwest company, but they.
Yeah, they're talking. I saw a story about how they're rebranding. They bought a couple of suppliers and are rebranding those. All of the, the natural or, that's the biggest trend.
Right. Oh yeah.
Grocery store
well,
now.
yeah.
Organic and natural.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and actually, interesting. You guys mentioned Whole Foods. I got information over the weekend that Whole Foods is going to be building in the Tradition/PGA area of Port St. Lucie. So there's going to be a brand new store building.
I noticed too. I was driving through a town that I would not really consider a Whole Foods kind of town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very blue collar. I don't mean to say anything, that to put it down or anything, but it is definitely a more blue collar town, and
Yeah, it's
Whole
not
Foods is opening there too.
It's not a Santa Monica or Beverly Hills or Marina Del Rey. I understand what you're saying. No, it's
It's Lodi.
It's Lodi. God, I hope not. I hope not. I spent a year there doing a game there one night.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, the bank stocks, guys, going crazy, right? Goldman Sachs doubled. Was that right?
Well, if you missed it, there was a great interview the day before, I think might have been the day before yesterday, with Kramer, who I can't stand, interviewed Jamie Dimon.
Oh, really?
Talking about, a great interview, like a 20-minute interview after his conference call on the earnings. And, of course, they discussed their mortgage business, which is growing, but, it's grown from 9% to 10% to 11%, whereas, Wells Fargo is at 30%, and, they are never going to catch up. But the fact of the matter is that with the steepening of the yield curve, these companies are going to make a ton of money. I think one of Mike's favorites is Bank of New York, Mike?
Yeah, BK.
Yeah.
BK.
Yeah. So, by the way, they also asked him if they separated the chairman from the CEO job, would you leave? And he said without hesitation, nope.
Really?
So all the hoopla.
Yeah.
About, well, if they separate,
he's
maybe
done.
he'll leave, and it's again falls under if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Classification of what goes out over the airwaves.
As you guys have said for years, it's all a noise, and that's they're 24/7, man, on those cable networks. They got to fill the time, and I know exactly what you're saying. Johnson & Johnson beating the streets, huh? Fewer charge-offs this past year, and I guess doing okay.
Yeah, and we have a position. We actually had a trade in Abbott that we made a couple of cents on, but I actually went back into it because earnings are supposed to be poor, but expectations are that much more lowered that we'll see how it goes.
That's true. That's very true. Well, you did a great job.
I'll tell you, the other thing that's really moving here are a lot of the solar companies because of the price of oil.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's okay.
SunPower has been up a couple of days in a row. I noticed LDK Solar, which is kind of an also-ran, yesterday was like $1.40 up 26 cents. Big percentage moves.
Wow. Yeah, they just had an announcement on, the CBS Market Watch thing that Microsoft is slashing the price of the Surface RTs. Did you see that? They're going to slash it $150, and that Apple has 39% of the tablet business. Microsoft 1.8%. When did you ever think you would see something like that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've been waiting for the prices to come down on that. I am a big Apple fan, but you see all the ads and everything, and some of them are kind of stupid, but there are things that you can do on that Microsoft tablet that you can't do elsewhere, and I really kind of like it.
We're going to be using those for on-air stuff, and actually on the television side when we get that thing kick-started too. So
I was out this morning, Greg. How much are they slashing it?
Supposedly, it says $150, but I'm not sure. I can't believe that because that would basically be cutting it in half. So it says $150, but
you gotta remember that when everybody was poo-pooing their move into gaming with the Xbox, they were selling the Xbox for next to nothing, and now, of course, it's 2.5 times more expensive. And has a gigantic market share.
Yeah. No,
maybe that's the same. That may be the same way that they're doing it. And of course, they're reorganizing the company, so it becomes like a kitchen sink kind of attitude. Like we've changed the way that the company is aligned and the way that we want to do things, and we're taking all the write-offs that we can right now so that we have good comps for a year from now.
And besides, Bill Gates is going to be a neighbor here. They're moving,
is he?
moving to Wellington, Florida. Don't ask me why. Maybe he and his wife
do they have 40,000 square foot homes there?
They must. They must have horses or something. I don't know. I don't know why he'd leave Seattle for Wellington, but that's all right.
Because it rains.
Because it rains. Yeah, right. God, it always rains in Seattle. So tell us what was on the interesting new stuff on the newsletter this Sunday.
Well, nothing, not a whole lot. We're up, the problem is that we're up 190%, 193%. And so as the market continues to rise and it feels like it's getting a little overbought, of course, I'm kind of cutting back. So we're not doing a lot of exciting stuff, although, we have, regardless of how I felt about it being overbought, we have still continued to have trades on the long side and make money. I think that we have a position in the big account in the TMF, which is a triple on the interest rates. And, they were up as high as about 276, 274. And I just saw the bonds go by with 253. I think I might have seen 252. We have the position on at $50.50, and right now it's trading just under $52. What that does is if the interest rate goes down, if the change is 1% of the interest rate, so from 252 to 250, let's say, this goes up 3%, which is $1.50. So there's that trade. We have a couple of good longer-term positions and some poor ones. We have a double position in Apple that has an average price of 594 down here at 425. It doesn't look great in the track record, but the fact of the matter is we've traded the options against it. We've written options, we've written calls, we've bought puts, and in fact the position is actually profitable if you look at it that way. But on the account it doesn't look so great. But we also have some XCO, which is a natural gas, which I think is going to work into a good, strong, long-term position. We have a position in Westport Innovations, which is a company that does conversions from gas to natural gas engines, especially in trucks.
Ooh!
And I think that has a great future. We have a position in Groupon, which is profitable by about 40% from where we bought it. And
really?
Calls against that this particular period. So, we're maintaining positions and trading around them. We've traded we made some money on S&P puts, not last week, but the week before. So, it's the whole theory of balanced both in the types of companies that we hold as well as the way that we view the indexes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Dean Witter always had the saying, it's not how you, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
Right.
And a lot of those positions, have worked out nicely. I mean, we sold our 150 shares of J.P. Morgan in two separate pieces, but it cost $33.91, and we got $50 for it, or $50.50 for it. Plus, we had held it for in excess of a year and a half, and we don't really figure it into that because it's a trading account. But we made another $2 or $2.50 a share the dividends in that year and a half.
Yeah.
150 shares, they pay $1.58. We had it for a year and a half, so $2.50, $3.
I'll take it. Yeah, that's good.
Hey, $3 on a $50 stock is 6%.
That's right. Yeah, wow, that's great. Well, you caught my ear here on this Westport company. Is that a new company?
Oh, no. It's been around, and we've traded it a bunch of times. I think they're located in Connecticut.
Yes.
And, I like it because of what they do. I also like the chart on it a lot. But it's also one of those companies that could disappear. Somebody who...
Let's welcome Phil Baker.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, Phil, welcome back.
I'll have him on in just a moment.
Whoops.
Just
okay.
a moment, please.
I'm sorry. That's not Phil. Oh. Anyway.
Phil was on his way.
So, Westport, you think... oh, great. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey,
Good
Phil.
morning,
Phil
Phil.
Baker.
Hey there. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Phil. And I want to introduce you to Charles Moskowitz here, who is our trader.
Hey, Phil.
Especially in the metals. And,
Hi, Charles.
How are you, Phil?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Well, Phil, give us an update. It's been, about 6 months since last time we chatted with you, huh?
Well, that's right. It's been a little while, and and since then we're fortunate enough to see a company that we had attempted to purchase 7 years ago and have been following diligently ever since get put in play by another company, and that company is Orezon, and we were fortunate enough to be able to acquire that and got that transaction off in 1st of June. And at the same time, we financed the acquisition with long-term debt that does not have sort of the covenants that come with the bank financing. So it's very secure sort of debt, and we're now in a position that we just haven't been in before, where we have a bit of scale. And we have more gold exposure, which we like silver, but we also like gold. And so really you have a company that has changed dramatically in that last 6 months.
Is it geographically located anywhere near other operations, or are you going into a new area?
No, we're going into Quebec, one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. So that complements what we have in Alaska and Idaho. Being in good jurisdictions, it's a gold mine that will generally produce about 150,000 ounces a year of gold, and
wow.
It's generally had a cash cost about half the price of gold. So it has good margins, and it has a life. At this point, we expect it to be in excess of 20 years. They have 10 years of reserves and another 10 years of resources identified. So it fits really well with what we do operationally. It's a very similar mine to Greens Creek. It's similar in terms of its longevity, good costs, and it's a very large land package that has lots of exploration potential. So we're going to be here, we think, for a long, long time.
Phil, where is the closest town?
Will that property be owned, or is it just lease rights to it?
No, we own the property.
Oh, that's great.
Boy, that sounds awesome. Where is it? Close to Montreal or Quebec City, or?
No, it's right on the Ontario-Quebec border.
Oh, okay. What?
Not too far from Timmins. It's a few hours from Timmins in Ontario.
Wow,
that gives you some perspective. And it's a mine that's been operating for 7 years now. It had a previous history in the 80s where they didn't figure out how to mine. They were trying to mine too many tons, trying to make it too big, and they couldn't control the ground. And Orezon, the company we acquired, they figured it out. And so it's a successfully operating mine. and they brought with it a couple $100 million in cash, and it should be free cash flowing certainly next year. So
Wow.
that's an unusual thing to do in the mining business, to acquire an asset of this quality and be able to finance it the way we did.
But again, this is a case of you had your eyes on this company for a long time before everything kind of fell into place, right?
We did. Every quarter we would follow how they did and compare that to our model. And then just a month before the hostile bid was made, I had gone by to see the CEO, and we had sat down and said, yeah, the two companies could make sense putting them together, because the operating culture is very similar. The operating requirements are very similar. There's lots of ability to share knowledge between the two, between their operations and our two operations. And so we saw synergies of sort doing that. And so we agreed that we would talk again later in 2013. We just didn't anticipate it would be as fast as it was.
So you were a white knight?
We were.
That's great news. Wow. That's awesome. How many employees do they have?
About 600.
Okay. And for folks who don't know...
And if you look at it in terms of volume, it will end up being about 40% of the total revenue of the company, probably closer to 25-30% of the net cash flow.
That's great.
Boy, that sounds...
Phil, just to change the subject, I know that
Sure.
your lift cost in silver is pretty low. My recollection is about $1.50. Is that dramatically under the rest of the group? I mean,
yeah. Let me first correct you. Our expected cash cost of production this year is about $5 an ounce.
Oh, okay.
Which is at the very low end. On average, I think silver producers are somewhere in the $10 to $15 an ounce sort of range.
Mm-hmm.
So we are, if not the lowest cost producer, we're among the 2 or 3 lowest cost.
Okay.
With the price of silver
So,
being
I mean,
what?
there are guys who are barely making money here at 19.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Charles. Yeah, because it's what, 19 and change?
Well,
1990s.
Yeah. Wow.
I would venture to say that the largest portion of the sector is really feeling squeezed, because in addition to those cash costs, they'll have some sustaining capital requirements. Every mine's different, and their sustaining requirements change year over year. But order of magnitude, it's anywhere from $3 to $6 or $7. So these guys that have cash costs of $15 to $20, they probably are not making any margin at the mines.
Right.
And so unless they have a very healthy balance sheet, they're in real difficulty.
Yeah. And so your cleanup at your mine, which, as I think you said when it was first going on, it's not like we lost the reserve. It's still there, and we just are going to take it out a little later. I guess that plays into it pretty well.
Well, that's right, and that's the Lucky Friday mine that you're referring to.
Right.
So we had a year hiatus at the Lucky Friday while we went in and made improvements to our shaft and improvements to the ramping facility. Not that we thought we needed to do it. It was something that our regulator was requiring that we do. And what we've done is said, let's make this. This is a mine that's going to operate, we think, 30 plus years. it's taking a year to improve those facilities.
Right.
You know, we've made it's going to work out very well in the long run.
Yeah, so it's a hit to cash flow for a year, but you know the stuff is still there in the ground.
That's right, and you got 30 plus years, and you know you've got less risk in the production of the ore in the future.
Phil, when do you see Lucky Friday going back online?
Oh, well, it is online. It's just not in full production.
Okay.
That will happen before the end of this quarter. It'll be at its normal production rate.
Oh, okay. I guess it would have
so
been.
Things are going very well.
That's great, Mike.
Have you got a trading division in your company? In which
We do not.
You do not.
What we do is we do hedge our lead and zinc production, but it is a very straightforward hedging approach. It's not one where we're sort of trading in and out of positions. It's one where we see the metal reach certain levels. This is lead and zinc only, and we say that we can lock in an element of our revenue that covers our costs, or some portion of our costs. So today we have not quite $300 million worth of revenue locked in over the next 3 years. That covers about a third of our costs for the 3 mines. So this downdraft that we've seen in the gold and silver market, while it's you never want to have lower prices, it actually for us creates opportunities because we are so well positioned with our cost structure, with the hedging, with the balance sheet, to maybe be able to acquire additional assets.
And when you say that you hedge those, do you hedge those in the futures markets, or do you have just wrap agreements with people who are buying it from you, or do you use ETFs?
It's forward contracts with institutions that we, for the most part, also sell physical to.
Right.
But in some cases, no. They are all financially settled contracts.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because those are not really what you would call liquid markets in those two, unless you happen to be a user.
Well, yeah, it is certainly liquid enough, and we find that we do not, with the hedging we don't affect the market with our trades.
Right. Well, you never want to be an adversary to the market.
Yeah.
And but you don't do that in the silver, and you haven't had that much gold production to be concerned with it. Is that because your prices are so advantaged?
Well, look, we look at our cost structure as being one where we don't have to do it, and we are able to do it on the base metals. And two, our shareholders want to have exposure to the precious metals.
Sure.
And so we want to try to do everything we can to give them that exposure.
Great.
Sounds good. Michael, any questions?
Yeah, there's. Well, I think Phil should definitely be talking with Charles. Charles has been trading gold and silver for over 50 years. If anyone has a foot in the water, it's Charles. I think Charles could really be an asset. It just so happens it's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Not just to be selling, like right now, gold and silver stocks are on fire. They are the leaders. They're just starting to catapult and really move. They're great buys right now. There's no question
and
about it.
at the same time, when it broke from 1,300, we were short and did very nicely there, too. I mean, you never want to be hedging a market that's rising. Why would you give up any of the upside?
Well, we definitely want to be long right now.
Right.
Traditionally, Mike, we're very long. Hecla's very long with all of the reserves and resources we have in the ground. I mean, we have actually the most in our 120-year history.
Yeah, what are they like? Tell us about the reserves.
Well, if you take the three mines, we think
including the new one.
Yeah, at Greens Creek, we think that's a 10-year plus mine. We have a mine plan that goes out 10 years, and we have visibility for another 4 or 5 years beyond that, but we think it'll probably be even longer than that. Lucky Friday, we have a mine plan that is more than 30 years, and at Casa Berardi, the mine in Quebec, we have a mine life that's almost 20 years. So we and then we have development properties in Mexico and Colorado, and in acquiring Orizon, we acquired some development properties in Quebec. So it's remarkable how our where we stand. I mean, we now have 3 times the amount of silver reserves as we had 10 years ago, and gold is, gosh, I guess it's about 7 times. So it's we're a company that has been here for the long term and will continue to be a long term producer.
An overnight success at 120 years, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, that's great. What intrigues me is when you were enumerating the mines there, the friendly territories of all of these mining regions, where you're not going, say, off to Africa or something like that. You're in some mighty safe surroundings.
Well, that's right. I mean, there is a rule of law in these places. There is a mining culture. There is a recognition of the importance of mining in the communities in all of these places that we're at. Now, having said that, I would expect over time you'll see us in places maybe that are a little further afield, but that's not where we are today, and that's not the base of what we are or what we will be. But we will be opportunistic to add new assets in other jurisdictions, as appropriate. And we've operated all over the world, so we're capable of doing that.
Phil, do you have any other companies that you're observing now in preparations for maybe another acquisition?
Look, we follow a number of companies and a number of assets, and we're disciplined, we're patient, we are quite active. We know what's happening to our competitors, and when it's appropriate, we try to add those to the mix, but we don't have to do any of those things. We have a great set of existing assets. We have growth within those assets plus others that we have in hand. So we don't feel compelled to add new things to the mix, but we can. We have the capacity to do it.
Charles,
that's a great story. You've done a great job.
Yeah. Any other questions, Michael?
No, there was a time not too long ago that Phil was going to Venezuela regularly, and he built a hospital for the people. They had quite an operation there, didn't you, in Venezuela?
We did, and that goes to the point of if you can operate in Venezuela, you can operate anywhere.
Yeah. They didn't nationalize it, did they?
And the stock was $10. I remember the stock was $10, and
well, and we in 2008, we were the largest gold producer in Venezuela. In 2008, we sold our position to a company that was controlled by Russian nationals who believe they had a special relationship with the Chavez government.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it ended in tears that the asset was expropriated. And I was just asking someone last night what the status was, and they're still haggling to try to get it back. And the gold mining industry is in complete disarray in Venezuela, and we saw that coming. In the 10 years we were there, it was a great experience for the company. It was the cash flow driver for us because the cost structure was so low, the grades were so high. It's geologically an unbelievably endowed place in the world, but we came to the conclusion that it was going to end the way it ended, and so when we could get out, we got out. But you can go into those jurisdictions and you can make hay, and so we're certainly will look for those things where you've got deposits that are particularly unique and rich. But having said that, we're not in any of those places at the moment, and we don't have to be.
Yeah, okay.
And, that's a good place to be.
Well, when you had mentioned Mexico, I'm thinking, okay, how many companies do I know, having worked in San Diego and Los Angeles, that had been nationalized in Mexico? Wondering how your properties were in Mexico. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Very interesting. Charles, any other questions for Phil?
Not a one. Love to talk to Phil about maybe using some ETFs for hedging on the way down if we get another break. But aside from that, I love the story. Have all along.
Sounds great.
Phil, one other question. Any other consumer uses like the RFID kind of stuff on the horizon?
Nothing that I'm aware of, but I guess I would suggest to you that these new consumer industrial uses for silver are really mushrooming, and it's if nothing else, it's just a function of the population,
right?
Moving, urbanizing around the world, and so the long-term prospects, particularly for silver, I think are extraordinary. It's just a metal that gets used in so many different applications that.
Have you done anything in rare earths?
We have not. Look, we're a precious metals company. Have been. Where our focus is on silver and gold. We think we are standout on the silver side, and we think we're able to bring unique operating skills on the gold side. So we have a place in both of those metals, and we like having the base metals to be able to have low-cost operations, high-margin operations.
That's great.
That's great.
Good story.
Great story.
Yeah. You are right, Mike. Good job in bringing Phil back. And, Phil, don't be a stranger. Come on back soon, okay?
All right. Thanks for the invite.
All right.
You guys have a great day.
Okay. Phil Baker,
okay.
CEO of Hecla Mining. And interesting stuff, Michael, the acquisition of the gold mine in Quebec, which obviously has been a pretty good play for these guys.
No doubt.
Whoops. There we go. Okay. Yeah. But
Hecla's a great buy-in here. It's just crossing $3. It's very timely. It's a timely purchase.
I was surprised to hear him talk about because I was always wondering, when we used to talk to Lucas Energy about the lifting costs of oil and stuff like that. Sure, you have to add everything else onto that, with the debt and all the other stuff that goes along with it. Some of these companies that, are mining silver probably are doing a lot of sweating right now with the silver at $19.
Yeah, well, it's been down to 16.
Yeah.
It's better at 19 than 16.
Right.
At these prices, it's getting kind of dicey running a company.
Wow. Yeah, but as Phil mentioned, they're no strangers to ups and downs of this business. They've been in it 120 years. His family has been part of it for, many, many decades. So, I mean, it's like, he's cool as a cucumber. I mean, he's amazing. And it's interesting that they were studying a company as many years as they did, and then all of a sudden the Quebec mine falls in their lap. So, yeah, it's amazing how things go.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
It's a great buy for our listeners.
So,
Hecla trades well.
And Charles, we got a couple minutes left. What do we look for next week?
Well, the market's not doing much of anything right here, and I believe that's probably in anticipation of Mr. Bernanke going before
The Humphrey Hawkins testimony.
Right. So that'll be, is it Wednesday and Thursday or just Wednesday?
Yes,
night?
Wednesday and
Wednesday
Thursday.
and
Humphrey
Thursday.
Hawkins.
So,
And-
I can't imagine that he's going to say much to hurt the market,
And he'll be
especially after
speaking-
coming out and, reiterating the fact that, taper isn't a dirty word, and taper doesn't mean we're raising rates.
Like
and
speaking
so,
to some kindergarten kids.
Right, he's spoon-feeding it to them.
He is. They're called
Well, you have
congressmen
to.
and senators.
I mean, I can't stand politicians as a rule, but what you have to remember is that these guys who he's talking to don't have the same kind of background that we have.
Right.
They don't necessarily understand the markets. They don't necessarily understand the way that the market functions, and so
They just want to get
they're
elected.
far from experts.
Right. Yeah, Mike hit it on the head. They just want to get elected. That's so true, guys. Oh, man. Well, Michael, good get again on Phil Baker for Hecla Mining. Again, a tremendous acquisition for them. On the gold side, I mean, normally you think of Hecla with silver, but Hecla Mining, gold and silver, and tremendous buy. So you might,
Yeah, and clearly there are byproducts of it. I mean, he's talking about lead,
yeah.
he's talking about zinc. I mean, they don't operate the mines to get that. It's
Right.
like the copper mining companies get, silver because silver is a byproduct of mining copper.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and it's producing enough to pay for itself and then some. So, that's terrific.
Phone number for your conference call, Charles, tomorrow.
712 pardon me, 712, I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, no!
712-432-0075,
Uh-huh.
and the PIN number is 614426, and I will put out a text on it in the morning, and
Cool.
there is a recall number, 712-432-1085, and the PIN number remains the same. And that's gaining some traction here. We have more people on it each and every week. And so, it's a good forum to discuss really not only what's in our account, but questions from people about what they may own in their own other accounts
Cool.
that they want an opinion on. So
All right. All right, guys.
Very helpful call.
Yep. Okay. We'll get with Charles tomorrow, 10 o'clock. His conference call. Be there. Be square. That's with Charles Moskowitz in Boston, Mike King in Las Vegas. This is Money Info. The CBS News is in progress. You're listening to WPSL, Port St. Lucie.